This is a different kind of headphone comparison. And I'm a different kind of reviewer, which you can tell just by looking at me. I'm going to compare the Bang & Olufsen's Beoplay H100s to the Browers & Wilkins PX8s. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. In this video, we're going to discuss the following topics. Number one, why investment truly matters to gain superior quality and performance. 2, how my personal life experience and motivation took me to evaluate these two iconic brands of headphones. 3, the emotional power that we human beings have, where we can separate the difference between want and need. 4, how I evaluated these headphones in a real-world travel and home experience. 5, the initial impressions I had when I opened up the box. 6, the build quality. 7, comfort and out-of-the-box comfort after days. 8, controls in the phone app. 9, advanced noise cancellation, ANC. 10, very simple. When I say simple, I mean simple. Spec talk. 11, the provided cases. And 12, my unbiased conclusion of both of these headphones. And again, how they enhance my life, my travel, my convenience, how they enhance my enjoyment. Now, if you're serious about wanting the best of the best, then one of these two headphones are really going to suit you. Now, I'm going to ask you a favor. Watch the entire video, because you really won't get the full breadth of where I'm coming from unless you watch it. But to help you, and to help you move along the video, I'm going to give you a video table of contents, and I'm going to put it down in the description. So feel free to look at it so you can see exactly the path I'm going to take you on in order to take the journey with me. I think we should start with the financial elephant in the room, because both of these sets of headphones, they're expensive. So let's start. The Bang & Olufsen H100s, they retail for $2,200. The Browers & Wilkins PX8s, they retail for $799. Now the prices might change by the time you see this video, but that's the price point that we're at. So the number one question that always I ask myself and other people ask them when you're looking at this level of price point is, are they worth it? And the answer is really simple. No, they're not worth it. The prices are ridiculous. Who pays that much for headphones? Now the next question is, would I buy them again? And the answer is absolutely. I love them both. They're fantastic. So would I buy them again? You bet I would. Now with the financial elephant involved, let me tell you, I paid for both of these sets of headphones out of my own funds. Nobody gave me anything. Nobody endorsed me. Now, did I try to get both companies to give me a free set so that I could evaluate them? I even told them I'd send them back when I was done. Yes, I did. Wouldn't you? But they both said no. And I understand at this price point. So know that no one is motivating me to say one thing or another or tell you what I like and don't like. This is strictly me, and this is strictly a person that's 68 years old. I told you I was different. That early on in his life was a professional musician, and for the majority of his life, he spent 45 weeks a year on the road. I have a lifetime diamond medallion status with Delta Airlines. I have close to 5 million miles. I have the highest status with Marriott. I'm a traveling fool. And when you have these kinds of headphones and you travel, let me tell you something. It makes all the difference in the world. And that's the perspective I'm going to give you. So within this review, I'm going to tell you some stories. I do it because I used to be a professional speaker. And I found people really appreciated when you give real life situations and why you do and why you say the things that you do. it gives you perspective. So bear with my stories because it'll make an impact on you and I'll give you much more of a sense of why I'm saying the things that I am. Now again, I ask you, watch the entire video, but if you can't, remember the video table of contents. I want you to get the full breadth of where I'm coming from. These are too expensive to make a mistake on, and I want to make sure you have all the information you need to make a logical business decision. So let me set your expectation from the very beginning. I'm not going to talk about a lot of technical jargon. It's just not me. It's not who I am. If you expect to hear a lot of technical jargon on these, then it's best you just stop listening and go to one of those reviews. They're excellent. I watch them all. They are excellent. But from my standpoint, I want to focus on something different. I want to focus on, one, how these headphones made me feel emotionally, how I used them. I want to talk about how they were in travel, in comfort, in sound experience. I'm not going to put it on a special microphone that has 2 ears on it. It's just not me. Again, it's not what makes it different for me. See, for me, it's real emotional, really emotional. So that's the perspective that you're going to get. In my opinion, when somebody spends all their time on technical jargon, what they're really trying to do is they're trying to justify the price. And I can understand that since one is at $749 and the other one is at $2,200. I totally get that. I'm going to give you some technical jargon, but it's going to be very brief. And it's really not the reason why I bought them in the first place. So if you think like me, you're at the right place. Now, in the business I used to be in, we did studies on the difference between a want and a need. You know, a need is something you absolutely have to have. Maslow's theory of hierarchy, needs. A want is 100% emotional. And I'm going to give you an example. When you buy a car and you get really nice leather interior, nobody needs leather interior, but we want leather interior and we won't buy it without it. So, wait a minute, you don't need it, but you want it? And you buy it anyway? Yeah, there's the emotion, and that's how human beings are. Now, in my life, goals were everything, and I helped people achieve their goals, and they helped me achieve mine. Goals were emotional. They really drove me. So I want to explain to you why I have such a tie to both of these two brands, and I'm going to start with Bang & Olufsen. When I was a teenager, which was 50 years ago, go. Anyway, when I was a teenager and I was playing music, I started learning how to play the drums at age 5. And I was professionally trained, very unusual for a drummer to be able to read music and to know that. So when I was 13 to 18, before I went to college, I played gigs and I made a lot of money. And the majority of the gigs that I made my money on were weddings and bar mitzvahs, because I lived in Long Island, New York, and they were big. I'd play 2 weddings and bar mitzvahs on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. I'd make some serious money and I'd save it all because I lived with a mom who was a single parent and she didn't have the money to send me to college. So when I was going to go to college, and I did, to Concord College in Athens, West Virginia, talk about a cultural shock from a guy from New York, but I went. I wanted to go up there with an outstanding stereo system. Now back in my town, which was Huntington, New York, there were a lot of high-end audio places. I find it hard to find them now. But they were out there, and there was like one in every corner. It seemed like stereo and high-end stereo was where it's at. And I went into one, and all of a sudden I saw a turntable. And it was a Bang & Olufsen 8000 turntable. It was linear, and it was awesome. And I remember the way the guy showed it to me. He took his fist and he went bam, bam, bam on the turntable. And the needle never moved. He sold me. And I said, how much is it? And I said, what? Wow, what 18-year-old has that kind of budget? But I never forgot it. I never forgot it. Now, my career went past music. It went into business, and I was a professional speaker. And as my career went up, I can start to afford things like this, but I didn't because I saved, because I thought retirement, you gotta have your money, you gotta save for a rainy day. And then at age 60, I had a stroke. I'm okay now. I had a stroke. and I retired. I looked at my financial position and I said, you can retire. You know, most people want to spend a couple more years and always want to make some more money, but not when a health issue like that happens. And my wife made a serious mistake. She said to me, you know what? You worked all your life. All you really wanted was a really nice turntable. Why don't you go out and buy it? That was a mistake on her part. She never found out what kind of mistake it is because I never told her how much it cost. And I went and I bought a 45-year-old Bang & Olufsen 8,000 linear turntable. It was refurbished and it's perfect, and I have it to this day. 8 years later, it's still perfect. Now, the other thing was, when I was going through all this, I knew the greatest speakers that I had ever heard were by Bose and Wilkins. And so I figured I was getting a turntable, might as well get the speakers too. And I created an awesome setup, which is in my office now. So you wonder why I chose iconic brands like Bang & Olufsen and Bose and Wilkins? It's because all my life it was a goal. And I finally could achieve it. You want some motivation? You got it. To this day, my wife doesn't know what I paid for those things, and I'm not gonna tell her. By the way, none of my family knows what I paid for these two crazy headphones. What am I waiting for? Arbor Day? So you get the benefit of that. And you get the benefit of my emotional tie to these things because it really was a goal. So what brought me here today to do this? Well, for the last 8 years, I've been ultra luxury cruise, travel, and travel product influencer. It's retirement, baby. You can do whatever you want. And I wanted to travel. So when I started to do all my reviews on the cruises, people really liked them. And so I got more and more and more popular. So I said, what the heck? I might as well do it on products like these headphones. But also, I also did them on high-end aluminum luggage. So I call the companies, I tell them what I'm going to do. Sometimes they give me some products, sometimes they don't. With these headphones, they didn't. And then I do this kind of video. But I apply how they made me feel emotionally to my travel. And I just came back from a 14-day European cruise and land vacation. And I'm going to let you know how they affected me and how I used them during my travel. Then I'm going to let you know how I use them today at my home and when I go through all the things that I do on a daily basis. Because that's really what we want. We want to know how this is going to help us with what we do every day. Is it going to enhance our life? Is it going to enhance our sound? Is it going to enhance everything that we do? That's what we want to know. And that's what I'm going to do for you. So let's hit it. I brought both of these two headphones with me, and I alternated them. The place that we were going to start out in Brussels, and it's over a 10-hour flight. Now, before we get on the flight, you go through Atlanta Airport. Now, when you have a stroke, you wouldn't know this, but when you have a stroke, sound starts to be a real problem. And so harsh sounds, and the airport drives me crazy. So when I put these on, I'm not so much looking for the sound quality, although I did have some jazz music on. I'm looking for how it really cancels the sound around me, because that calms me down. And it was great. Both of them were great. I'll go into more detail with it in a minute, but both of them were great. Then I get on the plane. And when I get on the plane, it's 10 hours plus each way. Now, if you've ever been on a long flight and you hear the noise from the jets, I mean, it'll drive you nuts. It'll wear you out. I put these headphones on. Now, Delta Airlines provides you with noise reduction headphones, but there's nothing close to these two. It's not even in the same ballpark. Now, to help myself even more, I have a little device which I'm going to put up on your screen that allow me to use the Delta sound system for the movies and Bluetooth it to my headphones. Very inexpensive. You can get it on Amazon. I'll put the link below. But it really helped, and it gave me now, it didn't only give me noise reduction, but it also gave me how the movie would sound. That's the way to travel. So that's how it worked on the airport, and that's how it worked on the plane. Now let me go on to more. Google Maps is so important when you're going through the streets of Europe. I know because I've messed up. But Google Map and I have a strange relationship. It's love-hate. If you just look at your phone at Google Maps, you can get confused, especially when you're in a really foreign place. But when you put your headset on, Google Maps helps you navigate. It tells you, make a left, make a right. You can't mess up. It's perfect. But it also cut out the noise of the city. Remember what I said about noise? Noise really makes me anxious. So to cut that out and to use it on Google Maps, it was perfect. Now, I'm on a cruise for 10 days. Now, cruise ships are great, and they're much more comfortable than anybody really knows, especially the ultra luxury ones. But I need no noise when I sleep. So I literally wear these to go to sleep. I usually put on something like a TikTok or a video on YouTube, and when it goes off, it's off, but the noise reduction stays on, and it helps me sleep. Then when I wake up just a little bit, I take them off and I put them to the side. Now, what did I used to use? I used to use Apple EarPods. But Apple EarPods, even though they have noise cancellation, they're uncomfortable. And I'd always lose one or two. They'd be under the bed, under the pillow, you couldn't find it. But with these, I just took them off, put it to the side. I do exactly the same thing to go to sleep at home. So if any of these things relate to you, these two products really make my life that much better. Now I'm going to add something to the list. When you get older, when you get younger, I didn't really work out when I was younger, but I work out now and I go to the Y. And I always start my workouts with going on a treadmill just to kind of warm yourself up. And I hated it. I hate the treadmill. It's boring. Now I go in with these. I knock out the sound. I put on something interesting. And it goes just like that. And it's so much easier. I don't even mind it anymore. And I'm ending up going a couple of miles. And it's much different than it ever was before. So it really helps me from an exercise standpoint. I also have two French Bulldogs. They're actually one's to the right of me and one to the left of me because they refuse to let me do anything by myself. That's the nature of French Bulldogs. So when I take them for a walk, I take them for even a longer walk because I'm wearing my headphones and I'm listening to some pristine jazz music. Let me give you my first impressions. I'm going to start with the Bang & Olufsen's H100s. I took them out of the box, and then immediately what you see is this absolutely beautiful leather case. Very minimalistic. You open it up, and there they are. And I'm sorry, they're absolutely gorgeous. They're gorgeous, but they're gorgeous in the way that I want gorgeous. And I'm going to give you an example. Early on in my career, one of the things that you did, I wonder why I did it, was you always want to have enough money to get a Rolex. So I got myself a Rolex Presidential. Now, most people would get a Rolex Presidential with yellow gold so that everybody that looked at your wrist knew it was a Rolex Presidential. I did not. I got white gold. Nobody knew what the hell I had on my hands. And I only wore it when I thought I deserved it. So nobody knew what I had except for me. And that's the way I feel about both of these two sets of headphones, but specifically about the Bang & Olufsen. I don't want people to know that I have a $2,200 set of headphones on my ear. I'm the only one that should care. And I need to care because of what it does for me. Now, when I got them and I put them on, immediately I recognized what luxury really is. These are spectacular. But I also noticed something else. It was a little bit tight on my head. Now, I'd done my due diligence, and I knew that after you wear them a day or two, they loosen up. And that is exactly what happened. So my first impressions were, it blew me away, especially being minimalistic. And the controls, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Now let's go over to the Browers and Wilkins PX8s. The moment I saw those, I said, wow, they are really good looking. Now, they actually have their names on the side, but who really knows? Who knows that brand? Unless you know. And when you know, you know. And I put them on. They were super comfortable from day one. And that's what people say about them anyway. They were absolutely just perfect on my ears. Now, the B&Ws got there. The B&Os got there. But these started that way. And you got to know, comfort's important. And they stayed on my head correctly. They were easy to deal with. So my first impression of those were, wow, spectacular. Now, were there some differences? Yeah, I'm going to go into the differences. But my initial impressions were, I didn't make a mistake. These are two spectacular sets of headphones. I think it's really important for everyone to know what I'm really comparing my experience to. What I had before was I had Apple EarPods that were noise reductions. They were really good. I mean, if that's all you knew, you'd say, ah, fantastic. I also had a very old pair, like 5 years old, of Bose noise canceling headphones. They're mainly all plastic, and they were spectacular. And then you put either one of these two pairs on, and I'm flat out telling you there's no comparison. It doesn't even come close. Then I went over to my daughter's house, and she has the Apple headphones. I'm sorry, there's no comparison. There's no comparison. Right across the line. If you want something where there's no comparison, where it's the best of the best, and it's important to you, and you earn the right to have them, and you can afford it because it's in your budget, you're looking at them. Now, from an initial impression standpoint, I'm letting you know on all my categories, what was the winner? The winner for me? Surprise! It was the Bang & Olufsen's H100. They're a work of art. Their build quality is spectacular. I don't know if you know this. I told you the story earlier about the 8000 turntable, the Bang & Olufsen 8000 turntable. You know, that's in the Museum of Modern Art because it's timeless. It's actually a timeless design. So that was my impression when I first got it. Yet, the B&W headphones were awfully good looking. If that's the only one I saw, I'd be blown away. But comparing them, that would be my choice. So now let's talk about build quality. And again, I already mentioned how great it was for the Bang & Olufsen H100s. But it started with the case. And you need to know something about the case. The case is it's stunning leather. It smells like leather. It's stunning. And it, you know, kind of blew me away because most other cases that you get are hard shell cases. Like the B&W case is a hard shell case, which is really nice, really great quality. But the leather case was just, and by the way, it was easier to fit in my backpack. I was telling you about my travel. When I travel with a backpack, and that's everything that you want to have handy when you're walking, when you're in a car, when you're in a truck, when you're in a super fast speed train, which by the way it's badass. What a great experience that was. And it seemed that the leather case fit into my backpack better than the hard case. So that was a positive for me. Now I look at the actual materials being used, and the materials were, I mean, you're paying for it, but it was the best of the best. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. So I love the build quality. I love the look. It's just, and I love the leather case. So now we go over to the B&Ws. The B&Ws are also outstanding quality. Now, the case, outstanding. No question you're going to protect it with that. So I'm not really putting it down. I'm just saying when you have a leather case versus a hard case, there's a difference. Remember what I said? It's how it makes you feel. Well, you can't put any money on that, how it makes you feel. But the build quality was also excellent. Now, I'm comparing it, remember, to the Apple EarPods and the really old plastic Bose headphones. Doesn't even come close. Doesn't even come close. They both use aluminum. They both have great drivers, and I'll talk about those a little bit later. The build quality on both of these are outstanding. But if you're going to give an edge to build quality, if you're going to you have to make a decision, I'm sorry, it's going to be the Bang & Olufsen's. Now, that brings us to out-of-the-box comfort. Now, I already gave this to you, and I'm going to share it with you again. When you take the Bang & Olufsen's out of the leather case and you put them on your ears, they're a little tight, and you got to really move them around your ears. So you got to learn how to pull it up and pull it down to get it over your ears. And when you do, it's fine. It's great. Now, over 2, 3, 4 days, all of a sudden it becomes like butter. But it took a little bit of a break-in. So out of the box, comfort, you had to work with them. But the B&Ws were spectacular from day one. And on day 4, they were just as good. So you just have to take that into consideration. So if you asked me what the comfort level was, especially initially, it's the B&Ws. I mean, it's not even a contest. If you tell me what it was after a week, it's a tie. But you need to understand that when you get this. And I want to add something else. Do you remember earlier when I told you a little bit about the leather case? Well, the leather case has something that not many people know about. When you put the Bang & Olufsen in the leather case, it goes into deep sleep. That means that it virtually turns it off so your batteries can last for a really long time. That is very unusual. Now, I'm going to talk about turning on and off the headphones later, but I didn't want to miss that little option because I missed it. I actually had to go and listen to somebody else and they said, oh, I didn't know that. But don't think it doesn't turn off. It does turn off. It's great. I'll talk about that as an option later. But no, that's pretty special. Put it into the leather case, goes into deep sleep. I hope that helps you. Now let's talk about the controls. Now, let's start with the Bang & Olufsen. You're not going to see too many headphones that look this way. The Bang & Olufsens have dials. On the right side, the dial, incrementally, the dial is for volume. On the left side, it's for noise cancellation. And you can do any level of noise cancellation up or down. Now, on both sides of the ears, this is beautiful glass. And so you can tap it or you can swipe it. So for example, if you get a phone call, you tap it, you take the phone call. If you don't want the phone call, you swipe it and it doesn't answer the phone. That also works with going from track to track when you're listening to music. So you'll learn a little bit about that and it's relatively easy. It's pretty simple. Now let's move over to the B&Ws. The B&W PX8s. They have much more of a traditional button approach. Now, are they easy to use? Yes, of course they're easy to use. That's why everybody has those buttons. They're very easy to use. You have volume, you have to be able to get it onto Bluetooth. Now on the other side of the ear, that was the right side, on the left side of the ear, there's a button that allows you to toggle through the noise cancellation. So instead of having the little twist dial that allows you to have as much, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more noise cancellation, there's only 3 settings. There's transparent, there's the middle of the road, and there's absolutely positively noise reduction is on. Now, those are the difference between the controls. So if you ask me from a control standpoint, what do I like better? I'm going to tell you it's the Bang & Olufsen because I love the dials. What a cool way to do that. Now we talk about apps. If you ask me about the app, I'm here to tell you that some companies focus on technology and other companies focus on the actual build or the engineering, okay? With the B&Ws, they focus on technology in their app, okay? They put some time into it. It's relatively easy to use, and they improved it. On the Bang & Olufsen's, the app is okay. You're not going to write home about it, but it gets the job done. Both of them work on your phone, but if you're going to ask me about the actual apps, I'm going to tell you that the B&W is better than the Bang & Olufsen, and that's a personal opinion based on an old guy talking about apps. So take that under consideration. Now, I've made this clear. The noise cancellation is very important to me. Also, being able to take it off of noise cancellation when my wife says something to me, which annoys the hell out of her, when I'm over there on the couch and I've got my headphones on. So I'm going to talk a little bit about noise cancellation and the differences. And a lot of these differences, these have to do with engineering. And so first and foremost, the Bang & Olufsen H100s. When you put the full noise cancellation on and you see that your wife is waving at you, really neat. You take your palm, you put it over either side, and it stops the music and you can hear her perfectly. And I told her when I do this, that's what I'm doing. That was great. The other thing you want to make sure of is when you have your noise cancellation off, when everything's coming in and you can hear both the sound as well as the people around you, there's no delay. There's no pause. It's just like you're in a room and you don't even have headphones on. It's really great. Great engineering. The B&Ws, they're different. You'd have to press the button to turn off the noise cancellation. Now let's talk about it when it's on. When it's on, it's pretty good. Now the Bang & Olufsen was better noise cancellation, my opinion. My opinion. Remember, I'm not going to put it on one of those little speaker things where they have ears. I'm not going to do it. I'm telling you my opinion, based on my ears and my issues. Also, when you put it on transparent mode, it wasn't exactly as smooth, clear as it was with the B&O. So if you're going to ask me who has the better noise cancellation, I'm going to tell you that the Bang & Olufsen, in my opinion, does. Now I told you I wasn't going to do a lot of spec talk, but I have to. I mean, these have some serious specs. So let's get started, shall we? Now, I'm going to start this by saying something kind of different. I'm going to talk about specs, but I'm going to tell you this. Do you really care? Do you really care? If you found out that a pair of headphones has the best specs in the world, but you don't like the way they sound, do you really care about the specs? So that's the way I look at it, but I'm still going to do my due diligence here. So first, the H100s have custom 40 millimeter titanium drivers. Titanium drivers. That's spectacular. And the PX8s have two 40 millimeter carbon dynamic drivers. The sound's great on both of them, but who really cares? I care about how the sound sounds, not the drivers that are in them. You could tell me they had paper drivers. If they sounded great, I'd be good. Next, the H100s have 10 microphones, advanced noise canceling. The PX8s have 6 microphones. So I did notice a difference with the microphones and how it dealt with it, especially when it was in transparency mode. So, who really cares? It's so close that you got to make your own decision. But who really cares? Because they're so much better than anything else I ever put on my ears. Now, Bluetooth connections. For me, the stat is Bluetooth 5.3 is on the H100s, and the PX8s have aptX adaptive. All I care about is that it ties in with my Bluetooth. Now, I found something out. You're going to just laugh at me when I say stupid stuff like this. I can have 2 devices going on either one of these 2 headphones. I can have 2 Bluetooth, so I can have my computer going and my phone going, and it switches back and forth, and it automatically goes to it. It makes my life a whole lot easier, whereas the other ones I had only could go on one Bluetooth. Now, again, I say to you, do you really care that you have 2 instead of 1? Well, for me, I do, because I usually use my phone and I use my computer at the same time. You just have to know that's how the Bluetooth works. Now, I'm going to make another comment here. At the time of release, when I updated the software on both, the Bang & Olufsen took 2.5 hours to get the software firmware update. 2.5 hours. Now, I knew that because I listened to somebody else's review. But the PX8s, they were pretty quick. Yeah, they did have to get new firmware, but they were pretty quick. Also, the Bang & Olufsen has a habit of saying, in the future, we're going to give you this. And the way I look at that, and I'm not trying to be critical, I'm just trying to tell you how I feel. If you're going to do something with a $2,200 pair of headphones, and you're going to tell me it's going to have certain things that it has, certain aspects, then when you release that, it should be perfect. And if it's not perfect, and you're saying, well, you get it in the future, don't tell me that. Under promise, over deliver. That was a little disappointing. Now, when I get it, will I be happy? Yeah. But remember, you expect from $2,200 for it to be Perfect out of the box. And in this area, you know, it's an unforced error, in my opinion. Now let's talk about battery charging, which is a big deal, especially if you ever have an iPhone. Batteries are great for the first year or two, and then all of a sudden they become horrible, and you really can't replace them. So there's two things I want to lay out here. One is both of these two sets of headphones, if you use them correctly, can get you between 30 and 35 hours worth of battery time. Now, I'm not going to put that to the test. They've done pretty good so far. No big deal. The real issue here is what happens when the battery goes out? You know, when you've had it and you've used it and you've enjoyed it, and all of a sudden the battery's not quite as good as it was before. Well, that's one of the reasons why I really love the Bang & Olufsen, because every single aspect of those headphones can be replaced. Whether it's the leather cuffs that are over here, which are magnetic, or the piece that goes around your head, which you can take off and put back on when it wears out. Even the battery can be replaced. Now, is it going to be cheap? No. Did I say it was Bang & Olufsen? Nothing's cheap with Bang & Olufsen. But what that means is that you have longevity. And when I buy something, that means a lot to me. And I'm going to give you an example. I told you I was going to tell you stories. When I started to go out on the road, I used to have luggage, and I have to replace the luggage at least once a year because they would just crush it at the airport. So every year I'd get a new pair of new luggage. And I wasn't buying cheap luggage. And then somebody said, why don't you get Zero Halliburton, which is aluminum luggage, and they're spectacular and they're expensive. I looked at the price and said, at this stage of my life, I don't know if I can afford it. And my friend said, you can't not afford it. Trust me, you're going to love them. I had them for 35 years. And the only reason why I don't have them to this day is because on the Zero Halliburton, it was so old, they didn't have replacement parts. Now, when I started to go out and do what I told you before I did, which is I'm an ultra luxury cruise, travel product, I bought new suitcases. Guess what I bought? I bought Zero Halliburton. Now, I looked at all the best brands and I bought Zero Halliburton because if those puppies are going to last, think about the value. You buy luggage every year or you buy one set of luggage for 35 years. What's the better value? Now think about headphones. The Bang & Olufsen's, you can replace the parts. Just like my turntable that's 45 years old. It's perfectly refurbished. It sounds as good as it did when it was new. Whereas on the B&W PX8s, they're more likely that when they get a new version, which they have now. See, I have PX8s, and now you have PX8s Series 2. So they just changed the model. With those, you're more likely to get the new model and give those old ones to somebody else. It depends on who you are. Are you the kind of person that wants it for as long as you can possibly have and have outstanding sound and replacement parts? Or do you like to have the newest, bestest thing? It doesn't make a difference who you are. Whatever's right for you, take that into consideration. The weight and the materials. Let's start with the weight. The Bang & Olufsen's are a little heavier. Whether they are or they're not, I'm not going to weigh them. I'm telling you how they feel on my head. They're a little bit heavier. They're not uncomfortable. They don't give me fatigue, but they're heavier. Whereas the B&Ws are a little bit lighter. That's possibly the reason why when I first got them, they felt so much more comfortable on my ears. Now we're talking about the materials used, like lambskin leather and scratch-resistant glass on the side of the B&Os. It was just very luxurious. Now, a year from now, I'm going to forget about all that. I'm just going to care about how they work. So who really cares? Well, I care now because I like nice things. And I'm not going around when people say, oh, nice headphones. Oh, hey, listen, they've got lambskin cups over here. I'm not going to do that. But I know. And if you're like me, then you like to know those things because it makes you feel better about your purchase. Forget about what everybody else thinks. Who cares? All right? Who can really afford these anyway? If you can, then quite frankly, you should care. Now for my unbiased final word. I'm going to cover the things that we talked about today, and I'm going to summarize it. Thanks for making it to this point. By the way, down in my description, I'm going to leave you links for all of my travel videos and all my travel products videos. along with some other information on all of the items that I showed here today. I'll have links for you. I don't make anything on the links. I don't make anything on this video. I do it for my pleasure. So let's begin. From an unbiased standpoint, noise cancellation is the first thing I want to talk about. I noticed right away that the Bang & Olufsen noise cancellation was better than the Bowers & Wilkins. Where I noticed it was during really loud sessions, like on an airplane or at home when the dogs were barking. It was close, but the Bang & Olufsen's were better. I also noticed that when you turn it on to transparent on the Bang & Olufsen, it felt like you were just right in a room. There's just no difference, but it was a little bit off on the Bowers & Wilkins. So under noise cancellation, I choose the Bang & Olufsen. Now let's talk about comfort. From the moment I took them out of the box, the Bowers & Wilkins were comfortable. They were like butter. I couldn't believe how comfortable they were. And to this day, they're just as comfortable. Nothing's changed. However, when I took the Bang & Olufsen's out of the box, they felt tight around my head, really tight. Now, I know that's the quality and how they built it, but at first I was a little bit disappointed. But I read about this, and I heard about this, and I actually saw videos about this, and I knew it was a break-in period, and it took 4 days. After 4 days, they felt exactly the same, just like butter, as they did for the B&Ws. So initially, B&Ws get the take for comfort. Over time, both of them are a tie. So let's go to build quality. Both of these two headphones are absolutely built beautifully. But remember, I'm going from an EarPod and an old Bose set. So anything would be better than that. But from a quality standpoint, I know what quality looks like. And they both are great. Yet, when you really want to compare these and you want to take into consideration longevity, and you want to take into consideration, you can replace any part of this, or you can send it back and get replaced for perpetuity. Now, it's going to cost you. You gotta go from a build quality to the Bang & Olufsen. Now, if I ever have to replace anything, you and I both know, when you have B&O, it's going to cost. But isn't it nice to know that you can have something for years? And what goes along with that is that the firmware is designed to work with the electronics, so the firmware can take you to the new levels of any technology in the future. So Bang & Olufsen gets that one. Now let's talk about look and feel. The Bowers & Wilkins look absolutely stunning. I remember when I took them out of the box and I said, my God, those are just beautiful. Just absolutely stunning. And to this day, I look at them and go, oh my God, they're just absolutely gorgeous. Then, a few days later, I got the B&Os. Now, I want you to look at these, and I want you to see what I see. I see absolutely a work of art. It's stunning. Nobody will ever know what I have these on, but they are absolutely, positively stunning. Everything about them. I told you that my turntable, my B&O 8000 turntables in the Metropolitan Museum of Modern Art, this should be right next to it. That's how I feel about it. For a look and feel standpoint, I choose the B&Os. Now from a value standpoint. Look, these two headphones are so close together, you got to look at the original price. When you can buy one for $749 and the other one's $2,200, from a value standpoint, you got to give it to the B&Ws from a value standpoint. Now from a personal standpoint, from a longevity standpoint, from a, I'm going to keep these for a really long time standpoint, these are going to be great headphones for almost ever. When you look at it that way and you put all those years into it, then guess what? These become a pretty good value. I found that out with aluminum luggage. You paid a lot of money for them, but they lasted 35 years. These, from a longevity standpoint, will actually, over time, if you're into that, will be a better value. However, if you like to replace your headphones often, these would be the ones I would buy. So, there you have it. If you made me choose which one of these two, if I can only have one pair I'd want to have, it's the Bang & Olufsen. It's just has some deep ties to me. Now, I want to know what you would do. Please comment below. Tell me which one of these you like better. Tell me which one of these you possibly purchased, and give me your feedback on it. Help other people so they can make a really wise business decision. Remember, I have lots of videos on travel products, on cruises, and now on headphones. I hope you like this one. I hope you like my way of doing things, my storytelling. And I want to tell you one more thing. Live well, live healthy, and enjoy life. This is Gary Tilkin. See you soon.